All right, let's dive right in. Today we're going to tackle something that sounds, well, pretty academic: queer theory. But stick with me, because at its heart, it's really a set of tools, a kind of user's guide for understanding who we are and why we think about identity in the way that we do. It's all about cracking open the boxes we put ourselves in. So let's start with a big question, one that gets right to the point. Are you what you are, or are you what you do? I mean, we all tend to think there's some kind of authentic, stable me deep down inside, right? A core self. But what if that's not quite right? What if that identity isn't something we find, but something we're constantly building, day in and day out? You know the feeling. We think of identity as this collection of boxes. You're a man, you're a woman, you're straight, you're gay. And the goal is to just find the box that fits you best and, settle in. It feels completely natural, like it's just the way things are supposed to be. But queer theory asks us to pause and ask a different question. Who built these boxes in the first place, and why? To answer that, we really have to turn to the historian and philosopher Michel Foucault, because he's the one who helps us see that these identity categories we take for granted, the ones that feel so timeless, actually haven't been around forever. In a very real way, they had to be invented. So Foucault points out this really fascinating shift in history. Before the 19th century, if you engaged in a forbidden sexual act, you were called a sodomite. But that was describing an action, a temporary sin. You weren't a kind of person. But then, in the 1800s, something changed. Suddenly, it wasn't about what you did, but about who you were. The homosexual was invented as a new type of person, a species with its own unique nature. And you can see that process happening right here. This text from the time isn't just describing an act. No, it's trying to define a whole person. It's creating a stereotypical portrait, linking sexuality to your personality, your body, your very soul. It became a case history, something for science and medicine to study, classify, and control. A new kind of person was literally being written into existence. The word Foucault gives to this powerful force is discourse. And it's super important to get this. Discourse is not just talking. It's a whole system of knowledge and power. Think about medicine, law, religion, psychology. These systems don't just describe reality. They create it. They produce the very categories of people that they claim they're just observing. They build those identity boxes that we then feel we have to live inside. Okay, so that idea of discourse leads us perfectly to our next thinker, Judith Butler. She takes Foucault's big picture idea and zooms way in, focusing on discourse's most powerful weapon, language itself. For Butler, the words we use every single day aren't just labels for things. They are active. They do things. They shape our world. In this quote, Butler is making a really crucial point. When someone hurls a hateful slur, the pain doesn't just come from the word's definition. The real injury, the real violence, is in the act of being addressed that way, an act that summons a whole history of hatred and power. Let's break that down, because it's so important. Think about an insult. There's what the word says, its simple meaning. But then there's what the word does. It's a performance. It injures someone because it's not just a word said in a vacuum. It's a citation, a repetition of every time that word has been used to hurt someone before. It calls on all that historical weight and drops it on one person in a single moment. That's its power. So you might be wondering, okay, if our identities are built by these huge, powerful systems and reinforced by language, how do they end up feeling so personal, so deep, so us? Well, this question brings us to Butler's most famous and maybe most misunderstood idea, performativity. Now, what performativity means is that your gender isn't some pre-existing thing inside of you. It's produced by what you do over and over again. All those tiny, often unconscious actions, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you sit, the clothes you wear. We are all constantly, and I mean constantly, citing or mimicking the social norms of what it means to be a man or a woman. And that repetition is what creates the effect of a stable core identity. And this is the absolute key distinction. Performativity is not the same as a performance. A performance, like an actor on a stage or a drag queen, is a conscious choice. You're deliberately playing a role. But performativity, that's different. That's the deep cultural script that we are all handed at birth. It's the set of rules we are compelled, often without even realizing it, to follow or risk social punishment if we don't. It's the script we're given, not the one we choose. So, what do we do with all this? If discourse builds the boxes and performativity is the way we're compelled to live inside them, does that mean we're just trapped? Well, not exactly. Because understanding how the whole system is built actually gives us a powerful new tool. And that tool is what we call queer theory. And here is the beautiful twist. In this context, queer is not another identity box to check. It's not a noun. It's a verb. It's an action. It's a practice of questioning things. It's about looking at anything society tells us is normal or natural, especially when it comes to gender and sexuality, and asking, says who? Where did that idea come from? Who benefits from it? It's a way of deliberately messing with the script. This is really the practical takeaway. Queer theory gives us a kind of critical thinking toolkit. Step 1, challenge anything that presents itself as just normal. Step 2, look for the hidden systems of power that build our identity categories. And step 3, and maybe the hardest one, resist that temptation for simple, easy answers. Learn to embrace the messy, complicated reality of it all. Which brings us right back to where we started. If Foucault and Butler are onto something, if identity isn't some fixed treasure we have to find, but is instead something we are continuously doing and creating through our actions, well, that changes everything. It doesn't mean we have total, limitless freedom. We all have constraints, but it does give us the space to ask a really profound question. What kind of person will you choose to be?